Hi everyone. So the theme and the topic of today's meeting has changed a few times, and where we're at now is I'm going to just start to dive into the true meaning of non-duality, the term non-duality, and the teachings and the teachers. I'm not going to talk about other teachers, but the expressions of this. So I ask you first to just arrive here on your seat. Where your body is, your life is. Now that may sound a bit different than a non-duality message, right? So, first of all, let's just clarify, what do I mean in my view? Because all I've got is my view. And all you've got is your view. So in my view and my expression of this is my message. In the first place, it's been said, like from hundreds of years, man and his father are one. What man refers to as God, as the Father. Yeah, that's been like a message from down the ages when we go back to biblical and religious messages. Man and his Father are one. The Father being what man calls God. As consciousness, the almighty creator, the only creator in the universe, the creator of all this and all that is. There is something that gives life to that. There is something that is the pure creativity of all that, and all that is, and all that we are. And there is no duality. There are not two between what I am and the creator creating of itself in form. There is no duality, non-duality in that. There are not two. There is not God consciousness, the creating, the creator existence, and then the form. This is only that. There is no duality. That's in the first place what this term points to for me. There is no separation anywhere in all of creation and creativity and the creative process and all that appears and takes form. There is no separation anywhere. So this has been said in many languages through religions that have made it kind of separate to another view. Yeah. But when we come to the, like, for example, if we go in a plane, an aeroplane, and we go higher and higher and higher and higher, and we look out of the window, we look down at this planet, and the higher you go, all you see is one image. You can't see anything separate from anything else. It's just one image of this earth you're looking, from the highest view. And then as you come in towards landing, when the plane is coming in, this is a metaphor, right? It's just to speak. The plane is coming in to landing. As you come closer and closer to the earth, you start to see all the segments, the bits that look separate, the green and the water. You start to see the buildings as you get closer and closer, more and more and more and more. You see what appears as separate. Oh, look, there's a river running there. There are roads. Oh my God, there are cars. There are this, there are that. You see the forms of this. Yeah. But the seeing, whoever's looking out of that plane, out of that window, the seeing is one. Even if there's 300 people on 300 bodies, body, mind, organisms on the plane, looking out the window, having a different interpretation of what is being seen, the actual act of seeing is one. The interpretations are unique. The body-mind design is one. There's only this design. In its perfected form as all these fingers and legs and there's only one design of the human form. And yet no two are designed quite the same. They're absolutely unique, with a unique interpretation. And all is the expression of the one. There is no duality in that. There is no other. There really, truly is not even one. There's only that which gives life to life and takes form. And through cyclic existence of what we call birth and what we call death, continuing to birth and pass away. Like all of nature, the same cyclic process, all birthed by that. The essence. So first and foremost, non-duality teachings point to that. Point to that which is beyond the form. First and foremost, the teachings point to that. And language is a pointer. It's not the actual truth. Truth cannot be found in language. It is the essence that is moving these words, the energy that is behind these words, the aliveness that is inherent in these words that arise and fall and disappear. Like they never, ever existed. And what remains? What remains is that which is always, always, always before, during, and after. All forms. So this message is being pointed to by that. That is bringing these words to life. To point to something that cannot be contained, cannot be grasped, cannot be held or captured. And yet they reach to that which recognizes itself. So it points to itself. there is no other. But on this ground floor, in this ground floor earthly reality in which this human experience is happening, yeah, there's the experience of separation. This body is sitting here, experiencing being separate from even the sofa. I can get up and walk away from the sofa. These objects in space, the objects appearing as separate and the form of other. What a play. What a miraculous, mind-blowing, kind of movie played by the same, all actors played by the same, but so convincing is this play that that which has created and given life to this gets to experience itself through these forms in the experience of duality. And within the experience of duality, there is male and female, as if two opposites, good and bad, right and wrong, light and dark, true and false. We cannot deny the experience of duality. This continues in experience regardless. Even when you recognize no separation, that in you wakes up out of the dream to recognize itself and sees through this play. Still, the experience of the appearance of duality carries on the same, but different. Same, but different. And this is a big area to speak about, a big area. Because what is the difference then? How is that lived after this recognition is of itself, awakening to itself, realizing itself, while still in this movie, with all this human drama? What's the difference then? That is a big topic. That is a big area. However, before going there, I would first like to come to make the point of how these teachings come through different expressions and different forms with different focus and a different message. Same, but different. So some body-mind organism that take the role of teacher and start transmitting this message, some only like to speak of the highest level. of that. That which has the view from being high up in that aeroplane looking back, seeing that there are no countries, seeing the planet and there are no countries there. Even the planet is among all other planets and is non-existent. Earth doesn't exist. There's no one to be seeing it. There's nobody here. There's just only pure illusion. There's only nothing and no one. This is the transcendent view that has been taken. I like to call it the masculine view, that stays with the absolute message. Boom. There's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely, absolutely highly valuable, and it's needed a very, very clear, deep recognition and valuing of that. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. It has all the value. Wow. Because without that, there is no way you can enter the ground floor in this play of experience. The donkeys are hooting on, yeah. There's no way that you can enter this human journey fully, with the eyes open, in the same but different, walking this earth, with it being a whole different experience, without that recognition. It's first and foremost. Yeah? You cannot become non-dual. You cannot become enlightened. You cannot become any of these things. It's the recognition that changes everything. So that recognition is absolutely, absolutely. I just better make sure that nobody's trying to get in the room, because, if they are, they should have come on time. Like me. So it's absolutely the first thing is the recognition, right? However, if teachings are only pointing, only staying with the absolute message, only staying with that, which I call the masculine transcendent part of it, it's dangerous, because it can lead to what we now know very well, is now commonly known as spiritual bypassing the human level, bypassing the emotional world, bypassing trauma. It can be used to repress this human life and walk in a kind of, well, there's nobody here and it's happening for no one, which, even if that's true, it's being used from a place of denial and not from the living truth. So this, we're already seeing the results of that in many places, you know, lots of teachers getting called out for all kinds of messiness in the role, abusive behaviors and stuff, because there's a denial that there's a denial. So it's unfinished business coming out and playing. So that's one reason why it's dangerous, and it's only half the message from where I look, from my point of view. It's only half the message. And from my point of view, in my language, it's the masculine half. It's when I say the masculine, I'm talking about the formless, that which is before form. It's that message of absolute formlessness, emptiness, nobodiness, right? But when we come to the world of experience and all the forms that this takes, in the form of sensuality and sensations and experience and feelings and this whole world of energy and form, is coming through the feminine. But I'm not going to go into that whole, because that's a thing that can be unpacked by itself, and I'd rather keep that as a separate live stream, which I'll do on the masculine feminine. But right now I want to stay with this, right? So when there is this transcendent message, what we find and what we see the evidence of, and has always been clear for me right from the start, is there is no integration of this recognition, like that recognizing itself in form and filling up the human, coming into the human behaviors, into the human patterning, the undoing of all the patterning and the emptying out is where integration is happening. So that the human now personality starts to embody the truth of what is recognized in a human way. So, for example, it takes there's no more sneaky wiki, or it gets more and more honest, gets more and more authentic, gets more and more willing to face the patterning, feel the pain, get really honest about what's here and enter into it. This is all where integration, so that the human form is walking as an embodiment of that which recognizes itself. If there is no willingness to meet this human life and this human journey head on, full on, in direct experience, and get more and more honest within it, then there will be the bypassing, the denial, and the seeming separation of when I'm in that space, I'm free, but when I'm in this human bag, I'm trapped. It seems like going in and out. Because it's not embodied, it's not integrated, it's not all inclusive, all inclusive, all the stories on this human plane. If we penetrate to the core of every story, we'll find the absolute truth. But if we deny it in the first place, like there's anyway nobody hears, just a story, da da da, there's a great danger. In keeping the unconscious repressed, suppressed. So the true meaning of non-duality from my point of view and from the way that I share this message is there is no separation anywhere from the highest to the ground floor and back again. The ground floor and the highest are one. Man and his father are one. There is no separation between the creator, even though there's no creator, there's only creation, creativity, coming from that one intelligence that is right now speaking and listening. The only one seeing right now. The all-seeing I. There is no duality. There are not two. And that includes the play of duality and all that comes within it. So you can't actually get out of non-duality. There's nowhere to go. And I never really have been using that term, non-duality. Even that I find a bit masculine. It's been more that Tantra has been my way. So it was very easy for me when the recognition of absolute, direct recognition and realization clarified itself and continues to never-ending. It was very easy for the all-inclusiveness because Tantra had been my way. What is it that gives the possibility to experience oneness? In the first place, there needs to be the experience of separation. Without the experience of separation, there's no experience of oneness. Without getting lost and identifying within the dream of separation, there is no awakening and recognition of the value of itself to itself. It's all one movement. A movement that comes from the source of all existence, all experience, the very source whose essence is the very essence, that which is essential, the essence of love. To experience love, it comes from a source. To experience what we call love, there has to be a source of that. And that is love itself, which is here beyond experience. Therefore, it does not need to be experienced to be what it is. I could really, really dive right in now to the essence of happiness and truth and what is true peace. However, I'm getting a sense to open up if anyone would like to ask anything or comment or something like that. And let's see if there's something that we would like to let's have a look. First of all, anybody within Zoom, if you'd like to ask anything, I think you can ask through the chat if you... I don't know if I could...
Chat is disabled.
I didn't hear you. Could you say that again?
The chat is disabled, means you can't comment on the chat.
Okay, but you can speak, so that's great. I can see you in a little box. Is there anything you'd like to...
I didn't have a question, although I did like what you were going to talk about, happiness and peace, and I really resonate with what you were saying about if that's really been my experience about enlightenment. When you were talking about separation, I had that big cry.
I'm not hearing you very, very clearly. So is there any question?
No, but I like the idea of what you were going to talk about.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Okay, so I'll just check to see if there's anything on... Well, I can't actually see YouTube. Okay, so all right, so happiness. Many of you who are here watching this either live or as a recording, you will already know that the search for happiness has taken us in our human journey through a pathway of elimination. To find out where it's not before it leads back to right where you started. Yeah. So these experiences of, because in formlessness, in emptiness, in this absolute expression of no thingness and no bodiness, there's nobody here and there's no, everything is illusion. So there's also no one to be happy, and no love seems to be missing. It's very dry and empty. Whereas when we come to the form, the world of form and expression, there is this energy that's rising up out of emptiness. You know, if we sink down into absolute depth of stillness and emptiness, energy begins to rise. As Shakti. Begins to rise, energy begins to dance and take form. The form of all creation. But it has to come in the first place from emptiness. So in that way, you cannot separate emptiness from fullness. There are not opposites. Emptiness and fullness are one. Out of emptiness comes the dance of creation, she. She begins to dance in all the forms. This very form being the expression of the Absolute comes out of the source, which is pure emptiness, which is not empty but full and potent aliveness. I think Adyashanti had a book called Emptiness Dancing. That's one masculine teacher who is very all-inclusive, which is very beautiful, very, very, very beautiful. There is integration, there is recognition of this human form and all that it lives through, and every layer of everything that it lives through. There's a recognition that this is emptiness dancing. And what happens when you meet this form with this recognition is that the held places of human misidentification and trauma and all these aspects, once met in absolute truth, in absolute unconditional acceptance, once met and felt and directly experienced, this can come back to its source. Energy that's been held, trapped in false identity can now be met, directly experienced, where the absolute knowing of what is recognizing itself as truly who you are is now entering human pain, patterning, programming, and bringing the light of presence, of truth, a true meeting. This is satsang. A true meeting is satsang. In satsang with yourself, no separation. And then this energy can come back to its source. And then the next, this human journey will be called towards the next place of undoing. Undoing what has been held in the constellation of human misidentification. Down the ages through belief. Belief in the story of me and the complete overlooking of who I actually am, and identification in the story of me, held by a belief in me separate from the rest of humanity. This false identification, the overlooking of the essence of my being, is the root of suffering. So in recognition, when absolute beingness recognizes itself, this undoing of the lie of the false identity is going to truly begin. Truly begin in a way, I mean, it might be running for many, many years up until that point of recognition, but the recognition creates such a shift in self-identity that there is now a willingness to experience in a whole new way. So it's a whole thing to unpack. Integration, absolute and relative, the masculine and feminine, to really embody this realization in its inclusivity, wholeness, and walk this earth as a human being, and yet not of it. It's such a big thing to unpack that I could go on and on. And it's already 5:30, so we didn't get to open the live stream until a bit after. I don't know what happened there, but we'll run for another 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm open to take any, if there are any. Doesn't need to be a question, it can also be exploration or yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, let me just find out who you are, where you are.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that there is, there's also someone commenting on YouTube. So yeah, I'll take your question first. Tamzin, yeah?
Something.
What is the question? Tell me.
Or rather, it's the exploration, because it came up this time, and it came up. I saw you in Glastonbury, and it's that I was just, when you were talking about when it recognized itself, but we have almost like, I can see in me this mechanism to look to it it's easy to look for outside of myself, to look for outside of myself. And like, for example, you are a light that I know that this mechanism wants to go towards. But you've also helped me recognize it in me. And I also have found it in times, but I'm just reflecting on that almost like programming to go outside rather than inside.
You see, okay, thank you, right? So that brings the question to me, what is inside and what is outside?
Well, it's more like when and I really resonated with you talking about this separation of when I'm in meditation, I can contact that space, but when I'm in the world, I can quickly lose that space. As in when I'm focused on opening my eyes and connecting with people, as opposed to closing my eyes and going internally. And so when I say inside and outside, I mean that. And so when I'm interacting with the world, I can get drawn to another, lose connection with that in myself. Does that make sense?
Give me a second. I'm trying to imagine it. Hang on.
How great for that to be difficult.
What?
That must be good for that to be difficult to imagine if you don't feel
Well, I'm trying to imagine that because for me there is no inside outside. There's no inside outside and there's no other. There's the experience of other, and also I'm not concerned at all about that space, about when. We tend to, when we are like, we tend to relate to this realization based on a certain experience that's based on that space. And what I'm talking about has nothing to do with that space. So what I'm talking about in an integrated way, and I'm talking about an integrated way, is that this is the case no matter what, right? So I can be having any experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever experience, still I am that, I am that, I am that, I am that. I cannot be any. So that realization is not based upon what I'm experiencing. So I understand and I appreciate that it is based on what you're experiencing until that is so recognized in you that it's known regardless of experience. So what I'm talking about and what I'm pointing to is not an experience, it is a knowing. And it's a knowing that can be recognized within the experience, within a certain experience, but that experience is going to pass. Because all experience is like this, it's a come and a go. Every single experience you're having, even you have an experience of, wow, so incredibly enlightening and delicious, and what that experience, no matter how enlightening and delicious, is going to pass, because by its own nature it is an experience. So what I'm pointing to here is regardless, it's the experience will pass, and what remains.
So a question for you then is it always, is your experience within, there's knowing and then you have an experience?
I'm
always.
Sorry, say that slowly so I can get what you.
So your experience, there's the knowing, and then there's your experience.
Yeah.
Does that change, being constantly enlightening? And the knowing can be there that there is no separation, but what is your constant experience? Is there
My, my constant experience is human life. Human life, because I'm in a human form, right? And the knowing is never not here, because that's what's experiencing human life. What I think you are talking about is identification. You get identified with the human story, and then there are moments when you have glimpses of being out of that identity, and then re-identification. So I think that that's what you're because
yeah, that's something.
Yeah, it's about the identification with identification being over in the living of this. So identification in this human name and form will pop up all the time. It's part of being in the human journey. Identification with identification is over. So even if there's an experience of this Ananta who's got all these like human challenges going on and this and that, this is fully experienced. It's just experienced, and it's freely experienced. There's no kind of trying to get somewhere back so I can be free. I'm free in it. Right, but I think what you are talking about is going in and out of identification. Sorry?
To elaborate, yeah, it's the getting pulled into the suffering or pulled into the separateness, the sense of separateness.
Yeah, well, the sense of separateness, the sense of separateness will still be here. That's part of the human journey. It's a sense of self sitting here right now, looking into this computer camera. There's a sense of self. That sense that's this sense of this woman aging in the human journey is it's fully here. It's not a problem. It's a sense, but it's happening in timelessness. It's happening in eternity. It's happening in agelessness. It's not that this can be understood. It can't be understood. So it's not to try to understand. It's recognizing that there is something in you that is trying to get free of suffering, right? Yeah? There's something in you that is trying to get free of suffering. Yeah. What happens if you would completely stop and enter your experience and experience it fully without resistance and without indulging in the story of...
I would feel, as I do this, feel my emotions and
Sorry?
the pain, and
yeah,
I would feel the pain. I'd feel my emotions, and it would be an experience.
Yeah.
I think actually when I go directly into it, it's not as bad as
Exactly.
avoiding.
Exactly. It's that you resist the experience and you want to get back to that space, and that creates a stronger sense of separation. Right? If you could just lay down in it, if you could just go, okay, all right, this is what's here, just lay down in it and just be, without engaging and indulging in the story about it, but just coming back to be here in whatever's here, you see how long is it going to last. Right? So there's something that wants to be revealed for you in that. There's something that wants to, that you're running from, that you're trying to get away from, trying to resist, and creating a stronger sense of separation in there, and that becomes your identity, which is the root of suffering. So there's something within that whole experience that has a message for you, that has a revealing for you.
I just say that I don't think I realized I was feeling it so much as when I came online and I saw your presence. It reminded me of, and I've had this, I've spent a lot of time with when I just suddenly felt how separate I have been feeling, and just the meeting with presence in another. I think I'm also looking for that in my meetings with others, and it feels like there's some kind of grief. I don't feel that day to day.
Yeah, it all has to do with the sense of self and the identification with it. If you would like to explore more deeply and where I can really see your face fully on the screen, I can't put your face fully on the screen now because this is being live streamed on YouTube and I don't want your face there, So if you wanted to have more deeper exploration where I can see your face and go into some work with you, I have a retreat coming up, online retreat. It's online from the 22nd to the 25th, 4 days, weekend intensive. If you want to join on that, I can work with you in depth with this. Yeah? Consider. Yeah? Did the sound go, or did you respond?
Yeah, I just heard you. I just turned the mute off. I thought that was you kind of saying, let's close this.
No, I'm just saying that I can't go deeply into working with your process right now. But it has to do with the thing that you're describing. It has to do with the sense of self and identification with that. Yeah? Yeah. But I mean, if it wasn't there before you came on the call and then you see me and then this sense of self is there, it's not a problem until you make it a problem. And then there's this habit to make it a problem.
Well, I started crying.
You started crying perhaps because a recognition that you're hearing the truth, and something in you just knows that the truth in you is being evoked, being touched. And that might bring tears that are not tears of suffering, but tears of recognition. Yeah? Anyway, feel free. Anyway, and always. And I will do another live stream in 2 weeks from today on Sunday. And you're welcome to add comments on the live stream on what you would like me to dive into. And also, as I said, there's a 4-day retreat coming up, which you can take a look at. But thank you. Yeah, thank you for your question. Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, it's for everybody. When you bring that up, so many will hear that, and it relates to, a large part of the human race, that the sense of self identity is where it brings you into separation. Yeah, we have to investigate really, who am I in the first place. So Laura C says, sometimes I feel lonely when I think that we're just one thing experiencing itself. It makes me sad. Does that mean we're alone? So Laura, the reason that you feel lonely, sometimes when I think that we're just one thing experiencing itself, it makes me sad. Does that mean we're alone? So sometimes I feel lonely when I think that we're just one thing. Well, what happens when you don't think that? What happens when you don't think we're just one thing? Do you feel lonely? You know, so if it's created by the thought that we're just one thing, and then you get to feel lonely through that thought, where are you looking from? Who is the thinker of that thought? And this is what needs to be clarified. If that magic thing that you can actually create the experience of loneliness through a thought, if that thought's not there, are you lonely? So self-enquiry is to go deeply into the truth of that, so that you're not getting the answer from me, but that you come to recognize within that what creates suffering and who are you. So that's, again, it's self-enquiry. So it's not to ask me, does that mean we're alone, you know? It's it is for you to come to know how that's being created, and who is the thinker, and who are you. Yeah. Yeah, I will, in 2 weeks from now, I will hold another live stream like this on the, I think it's the 17th, and you can write some comments on this one to ask whatever. And also, as I said, there is a 4-day intensive retreat online coming up on the 22nd to the 25th. Yeah, that's a deep dive. And I'll mention also that, for those of you who don't know, that I do also have a membership where we meet every 2 weeks and explore all levels of everything, and a very integrated, from the ground floor up and down, all inclusively, membership. At the moment it's called Living Awake, but I'm looking for a new title. So as usual, I've gone over the hour, coming up to towards 6 o'clock. So I'm going to thank you for your presence, and let's just take one moment of silence to just return and meet here. You can never be alone. You can experience loneliness. On the human level. But in your being, the whole existence, is breathing you. Om Shanti. Thank you. Thank you. Let there be peace. Bye for now.